The Galactic Coalition Military Academy stood tall on the planet Velkar Prime. Its silver towers reached into a sky filled with 3 moons. Cadets from over 100 worlds came here to train. They learned to fight, to lead, and to serve the coalition. Only the best were allowed inside its gates. The academy had a simple belief. There were 4 apex species in the galaxy. These were the strongest, smartest, and most powerful races. The Cathar were giants made of living crystal. They stood 8 ft tall and could break stone with their fists. The Drakkar were reptiles with thick scales and sharp teeth. They were fast and strong fighters. The Veshk were pack hunters with 3 eyes. They could see in every direction at once. The Lumini were tall and graceful. They could touch minds and send fear into their enemies. For 2,000 years the coalition had taught one simple truth. These 4 species were the top of the food chain. Everyone else was below them. Then Alara Voss arrived. She was 18 years old. She came from a colony world called New Anvil. She was small. She stood only 5 ft and 6 in tall. Her hair was brown and tied back in a simple braid. Her eyes were gray and quiet. When she walked into the academy on her first day, other cadets stared at her. Some laughed, some looked sorry for her. Alara was the first human ever to attend the academy. Earth had been a forbidden world for a long time. The coalition had marked it as Deathworld no contact, but things had changed. Earth was now listed as Deathworld provisional membership. Alara was part of a test program. The coalition wanted to see if humans could fit in with normal cadets. Teachers were kind to her, maybe too kind. They gave her light training. They told her not to push herself too hard. They worried she might get hurt. Academy doctor checked on her every week. Everyone treated her like glass. Alara said nothing. She did her work. She trained, she watched. Her squad had 4 other cadets. They were all Apex species. Vorth was the Cuthery. He was huge. His crystal skin shined blue under the academy lights. He moved slowly, but he could crush a metal door with one hand. Sezek was the Drakkari. He had green scales and a long tail. He liked to show his teeth when he smiled. Renka was the Veshk pack leader. His 3 eyes never stopped moving. He always knew where everyone was. Silith was the Lumini. She was tall and thin with silver skin. She could send thoughts into other minds. These 4 were proud. They were the best of the best. And now they had to share their squad with a small human girl from a backwater colony. One evening the squad sat together in the mess hall. Alara was at the end of the table eating quietly. The 4 Apex cadets sat together, talking in their trade tongue. This was a language used between species. They thought Alara could not understand it. They were wrong. The academy gave every cadet a translator chip. Most chips only worked with common languages. But Alara had brought her own chip from New Anvil. It was an old model, but it worked very well. It picked up the trade tongue without any problem. Look at her, Vorth said in a low voice. She is so small. How did she even get in? It is the new program, Sezek said. He showed his teeth. The coalition feels sorry for the death world people. They want to give them a chance to die, Renka added. His 3 eyes moved toward Alara, then away. She will not last 1 month here. Silith took a small sip of her drink. I can feel her mind from here. It is loud, chaotic. She is afraid, of course she is. Afraid, Vorth said. Look at us. Look at her. She knows what she is. Then Sizak smiled wider. I have an idea. Let us make a wager. The other three leaned in our first combat trial. SX said, how long will the human last? I say 15 seconds. She will fall in 15 seconds, Vorth shook his head. Too fast. I say 30 seconds. She is small, but she has some muscle. Renka thought for a moment. I am more kind. I say 1 full minute. She might surprise us. They all looked at Silith. The Lumini was quiet for a long time. Then she spoke softly. I do not bet on her body, Silith said. I bet on her mind. She will break before her bones do. I will see to it myself. The four laughed. They drank to their wager. They did not look at the small human at the end of the table. Alara heard every word. She did not stop eating. She did not look up. She did not change her face. She finished her food. She put her tray away. She walked back to her bunk. That night, she sat on her bed in the dark. She was alone in her room. The academy had given her a single bunk because no other species wanted to share with a human. She did not mind. She rolled up her sleeves. She looked at her arms in the moonlight. There were old scars there, many of them, a long white line from a thresher cat's claw, a round mark from a burn, a small scar where her own bone had once pushed through the skin she had grown up on. New anvil. The gravity there was 1.4 G. That meant everything was heavier. Walking was harder, falling hurt more. The colony was full of dangers. There were six-legged predators in the forests. There were storms that could throw a grown man across a field. There were plants that could eat a child. Alara had killed her first predator at 16. It was a thresher cat. It had jumped on her in the cornfields. She had a hunting knife. She had only her hands and her training. The fight had lasted 4 minutes. She had 3 broken ribs and a torn ear. When it ended, the thresher cat had not gotten up. That was normal on New Anvil. That was a Tuesday. Alara lay back on her bed. She closed her eyes. She thought about the 4 cadets and their wager. She thought about how they laughed. She smiled. It was a small smile. It was the kind of smile that on her home world came right before something died. Tomorrow she would sign up for the next open combat trial. She would not say a word about what she had heard. She would let them think they had won. She would let them feel safe, and then she would teach them what a death world really meant. She fell asleep with that smile still on her face. Outside her window, the 3 moons of Velkar Prime moved across the sky, slow and bright. The academy slept. The galaxy slept, but on New Anvil the predators were always awake, and Alara Voss had been raised by them. The next morning, Alara walked to the academy's combat office. She signed her name on the open trial list. The clerk, a small 4-armed creature named Pip, looked at her with worry. Cadet Voss. Pip said, "This is a 5-way free-for-all match. Apex level. Are you sure?" "I am sure." Alara said, "You can pick a lower trial. There is a beginner match next week. I want this one." Pip blinked all 4 of its eyes. "It will be in the main arena. Many cadets will watch. Teachers will watch. There is no easy way out once you start." "Good," Alara said. She turned and walked away, news of her sign-up moved fast. By lunch, the whole academy was talking. The Deathworld Girl had asked for an Apex match. Some thought she was brave. Most thought she was foolish. A few teachers tried to talk her out of it. She listened to them politely. Then she went back to her training. 4 cadets in her squad heard the news. 2, they could not believe it. She must have lost her mind, Vorth said. He laughed. Or she wants to leave the academy, Sizek said. Maybe she will take a hard fall and go home. Renka was quiet. His 3 eyes watched Alara across the training yard. She was lifting weights. Her form was very good. She moved with control. Something is wrong, Renka said softly. She does not move like a scared cadet. She is just stupid, Silith said. I felt her mind last night. It was full of strange thoughts. Humans are not like us. The match was set for 3 days. Later, on the day of the match, the main arena was full. Cadets filled the seats. Teachers sat in the high booth at the top. The arena floor was huge. It could change shape. It could change gravity. It could even change the air. Today, the settings were standard. The gravity was 0.9 g. The air was normal. The lights were bright for most species. 0.9 g was easy. It was the same as their home worlds. For Alara, who grew up at 1.4 g, this was almost like floating. Her body was used to so much more weight. Here she felt light as a feather. Here, she could jump twice as high. She could move twice as fast. Her bones, built strong for heavy world, were like steel in this place. She walked into the arena in her training suit. The 4 Apex Cadets were already there. They stood in a loose group. They looked relaxed, confident. Above them in the medical booth, Dr. Yishin watched. She was a Tessari, a small lizard-like being. She was the academy's chief doctor. She had a stylus in her hand and a tablet in her lap. She was ready to take notes. The match referee stood at the center. He was a Cathari like Vorth, but older. Cadets, he said, this is a 5-way free-for-all. The last cadet standing wins. Stun weapons are allowed. Hand combat is allowed. Killing strikes are not allowed. Begin. When the bell rings, the 5 cadets took their places. The bell rang. The 4 Apex Cadets did not rush at each other. They had a private deal. They had agreed to take turns with the human first. After she fell, they would fight each other for the win. Vorth went first. He was the biggest, so he claimed the honor. He stepped forward. He cracked his crystal knuckles. The sound was like rocks breaking. He smiled at Alara. This will be quick. Little one, he said. Alara did not answer. She did not move. She just watched him. Vorth charged. The ground shook under his weight. He raised one huge fist to bring her down with a single hit. Alara moved. She did not move fast. She moved correctly. Every step was perfect. Every motion saved energy. She had spent 3 weeks watching Vorth in training. She knew how he fought. She knew his weak spots. She had thought about this fight 100 times in her head. She stepped to the side. Vorth's fist hit only air. His huge body kept going. He could not stop quickly. That was his problem. Cathari were strong, but their crystal bodies were heavy. They could not change direction fast. Alara was already at his side. She did not aim for his armor. His armor was too thick. She aimed for the joint under his arm. There was a small seam there where the crystal plates met. She had seen him scratch that spot once when he was tired. That told her it was a weak point. She drove her elbow into the seam with all her strength. Vorth screamed. The sound was deep and loud. His arm went limp. Crystal cracked inside the joint. He turned to grab her with his other arm. But she was already gone. She had ducked under him. She came up behind him. She kicked the back of his knee. Vorth fell. He hit the floor with a crash. Cracks ran through the arena floor under his weight. The crowd went silent. Alora stepped back. She was breathing slowly. She looked at her hands. There was a small cut on her elbow from the crystal. That was all. 11 seconds. The match clock showed 11 seconds. In the medical booth, Dr. Yushin sat very still. She put down her stylus. She picked up her communicator. Med Bay, she said. Please prepare a Tier 2 trauma response. Cadet Vorth has fallen. Send a stretcher to the arena. The med team in the booth looked at her. One of them spoke up. Doctor, did you say Vorth fell? The Cathari, yes, the human took him down. That is impossible. Dr. Yishin looked back at the arena. Look for yourself. In the arena, Sizak had stopped smiling. He looked at Vorth on the ground. He looked at the small human standing over him. Then he roared. The Dracari roar was a war cry. It was meant to scare enemies. Sizak charged at Alora with full speed. His tail whipped behind him. His claws were out. His mouth was open. He was a green storm of muscle and teeth. Alora watched him come. She did not run. She did not back away. She did something that no coalition fighting school taught. She stepped toward him. She stepped times into times. The charge, Sizak was not ready for this. No prey ran toward a Dracari. Prey always ran away. That was the rule of the galaxy. But Alora did not know that rule. On New Anvil, she had been chased by things faster than her many times. The only way to live was to take the fight to the enemy, to break their plan, to make them fight on her terms. Sizak tried to slow down. He could not. His own speed worked against him. Alora slipped past his claws. She ducked under his snapping jaws. She came up at his side, just behind his front leg. She grabbed his tail. A Dracari's tail was strong. It was a weapon. But the base of the tail, where it met the body, had nerves. Alora had read about Dracari biology in the Academy library. She had read every page. She knew exactly where to hit. She drove her knee into the base of his tail. Hard. Sizak's body locked up. His back legs gave out. He fell on his side. His tail twisted at a wrong angle. There was a wet popping sound. His jaw hit the floor too hard. Teeth cracked. 19 seconds on the clock. The crowd was still silent. No one cheered. No one spoke. They just watched. In the medical booth, Dr. Yishin slowly stood up. Med Bay, she said into her communicator. Upgrade to Tier 3 trauma response. And someone please pull Cadet Voss's full medical file. Send it to my screen. Now, she had a feeling she was about to learn something the whole coalition had missed. Down in the arena, Alara turned to face the last two cadets. Renka and Silathy stood very close together now. They were not laughing. They were not joking. The wager was forgotten. For the first time, they looked at the human girl and saw what she really was, a predator. In the medical booth, Dr. Yishin's screen lit up. Cadet Voss's medical file had arrived. It was long. Very long. The doctor began to read. Her eyes moved fast across the words. With each line, her face grew more serious. The file was not like other cadet files. Most files were short. They listed a few small injuries, a broken bone here, a sprained ankle there. Nothing big. Alara's file was a list of horrors. At age 9, she had survived a collapsed lung. The cause was listed as fall from grain silo during storm. She had walked herself to the colony clinic. It was 3 miles. In the rain. At age 12, she had broken her arm. She had set the bone herself, alone, in the woods. She had used a stick and a piece of cloth. The colony doctor had checked her work 2 days later and said it was done correctly. At age 14, she had been bitten by a marsh snake. The poison should have killed her in 1 hour. She had walked home and made an antidote from common plants. Her colony had a name for this. They called it Tuesday medicine. At age 16, she had killed a thresher cat with a hunting knife. The fight had broken 3 of her ribs and torn her left ear. The colony report said her recovery was normal. She had been back in the fields 1 week. Later, the file went on and on. Falls, burned cuts, fights with predators, long walks in heavy rain. Days without food, days without water. Each entry ended with the same words. Cleared for duty. No long-term effects. Then Dr. Yishin reached the physical exam page. Alara's bone density was 40% above the coalition. Average 40%. That meant her bones were almost as hard as Cathari crystal. Her muscles had a high level of fast-twitch fibers. Her heart could beat faster and longer than any cadet on file. Her pain tolerance was, in the words of the new Anvil doctor, operationally normal for our colony. But I would not test this on a core world patient. Dr. Yishin's hand shook a little. She pulled up another file. This one was the coalition species threat list. She found Earth. Earth was listed as Class 3 provisional. Limited combat application, Class 3. The same level as small game hunters. The same level as colony farmers. The same level as people who could fight a little but not really. Dr. Yishin looked back at the arena screen. Alara was standing alone in the middle of the floor. 2 Apex Cadets were down. 2 more were backing away from her. Slowly the doctor began to type. She opened the emergency reclassification form. She filled it out fast. She marked it as urgent. She sent it up to the Academy Council. The match was still going down in the arena. Renka and Silith had made a new plan. They had stopped acting like they were better than the human. They were now treating her like a real threat. Renka used his 3 eyes to keep watch on every angle. Silith stood behind him. She was preparing a psionic strike. Lumini psionics worked by reaching into a target's mind. They would find the strongest fear inside. Then they would make that fear bigger. They would fill the target's whole mind with it. Most enemies froze. Some ran away. A few even fell down crying. Silith focused her power on Alara. She reached out with her mind. She felt the human's thoughts. She picked the strongest fear she could find. She pushed. The wave of fear hit Alara like a cold wind. Alara's body shook for a moment. She took a small step back. Her face went pale. Her breathing got faster. Silith smiled. It was working. Then something strange happened. Alara laughed. It was a soft breathless laugh. Quiet, almost tired. But it was a laugh. And it kept going. Silith's smile dropped. The fear she was sending was real. It was the fear of being hunted, the fear of something big and hungry coming for you in the dark, the fear of being small and weak and alone. But to Alara, that fear was not new. It was not strange. It was not even the worst thing she had felt. That fear was from her childhood. That was the cornfields at night. That was the marsh at sunset. That was every walk home from school when she was 7 years old. Every step on New Anvil had been taken under that fear. She knew it well. She had eaten dinner with it. She had slept beside it. She had grown up holding its hand. It was to Alara familiar. It was Vay's home. She kept laughing. Then she looked up at Silith, the Lumini. Stop pushing, she tried to pull her mind back, but Alara's mind had latched onto her psionic link. The human's thoughts poured back through the connection. Silith felt them, all of them at once. Lumini psionics worked best when a target had one main feeling. Most species had simple minds. Cathari were proud, Drekari were angry. Vesh were focused, Lumini could read these single feelings and use them. Alara's mind was not simple. Her mind held 100 feelings at the same time. There was fear, yes, but there was also love and anger, and a half-remembered song her mother used to sing, and a joke she had heard last week, and worry about her brother, and hunger, and the smell of corn after rain, and grief for her grandfather who had died last spring, and a thought about lunch, all of it. All at once, all loud, Silith screamed. She fell to her knees. The psionic backlash hit her like a hammer. Her silver skin went pale. Blood came from her nose. She held her head in both hands. In the medical booth, Dr. Yishin watched all of this. She finished filing the reclassification petition. She marked it as priority 1, the form moved up the chain. The first reviewer signed it in 2 minutes. The second reviewer signed it in 5. The third, the head of the Coalition Species Office, signed it in 10. It was a record. No reclassification had ever moved that fast. Earth was now listed as Class I Apex Predator species. Restricted engagement protocols. The match clock showed 43 minutes. The match was still going. Renka was the only Apex Cadet still standing and fighting. He had watched everything. He had seen Vorth fall. He had seen Sizek fall. He had seen Silith fall just now without a single hit landing on her. The human had broken the Lumini's mind. Without touching her, Rink's 3 eyes moved over Alara. His pack leader instincts were screaming. They were telling him things he did not want to hear. This was not prey. This was not a small thing. This was not weak. This was a hunter, and he was alone. Rank was a smart cadet. He knew when to fight and when to think. He decided to think. He started to back away. He needed time. He needed a plan. Veshk were endurance hunters. They could run for hours. They could outlast almost any enemy. He would tire her out. That was his plan. Humans were small. They could not run for long. Surely, he turned and started to jog. He moved in a wide circle around the arena. He kept his 3 eyes on Alora at all times. Alora watched him for a moment. Then she started to jog too, not fast. Just steady, just easy. Like she was on a morning run back home. She did not look tired, she did not look worried, she just looked patient. In the booth, Dr. Yishin leaned forward. She had read about something in old Earth files, something the Coalition had laughed at when they first found Earth. A hunting style that no other species used, a style based on never stopping. She turned to her med team. Get a T4 ready, she said softly. The Veshk is going to need it, and someone bring me a glass of water. This match is not over yet, not by long way. Renk kept moving. He used the size of the arena to his advantage. He kept space between himself and the human. He made wide turns. He used the walls. He even climbed the low rocks that the arena had built for him. He was a Veshk pack leader. He knew how to use ground. He knew how to read a fight, and the human just kept jogging behind him. She did not run fast. She did not chase him hard. She kept the same steady pace. Step, 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 always the same. Always behind him, always there. Ren Ka's race had hunted on their home world for 10,000 years. They were pack hunters. They worked in groups of 6 or 8. They would chase prey across long distances. The pack would split up. Some would chase, some would cut off escape paths. The prey would tire and stop. Then the pack would close in. But Renka was alone in the arena. There was no pack. He was used to having brothers and sisters around him. His mind kept reaching out for them. His instincts kept telling him to look for support. There was none. He was alone. And the small thing was still behind him. He could outlast her. He had to. Veshk could run hard for 40 minutes. Without a break. They had 2 hearts and 3 lungs. Their bodies were built for long chases. But he was the one running. The human was just jogging. 10 minutes passed, then 15. Then 20. Renka's breath was getting hard. His legs were starting to burn. He had been running flat out, trying to lose her. She had not slowed down, not even once. Her face had not changed. Her breathing had not changed. She had not stopped to rest. She had not stumbled. She had not even taken a drink of water. She was just there. Steady, calm, patient. His 3 eyes kept watching her. The Veshk could see in many directions at once. But there was a problem. His brain was used to seeing his pack in those side views. He kept seeing only empty space. His mind kept telling him something was wrong. The world was wrong. The chase was wrong. The wrong one was him. He had been the prey from the first second of this chase. He had not known it. 22 minutes into the chase, Renkan's body began to fail. His back legs felt like water. His chest hurt. His hearts were beating too fast. His mouth was dry. He had run himself into the ground trying to escape something that was not even running. He stopped. He turned to face her. He had no choice. He could not run anymore. His pack mind deep inside him was screaming one truth at him. The hunter does not stop. The hunter does not get tired. You only stop running when there is nothing left to run with. Alora stopped a few feet from him. She was not even breathing hard. A small drop of sweat slid down her cheek. That was all. Renkan raised his claws. He would fight. He would fight to the last. That was his honor. She moved. He tried to move too. He was too slow. His body had nothing left. Alora was behind him in 2 seconds. Her arm came around his neck. Her grip was strong. She was small, but her muscles were like steel cables. She found the right spot. On his throat she pressed. It was not a Killing hold, it was a sleep hold. She had learned it from her grandmother. Her grandmother had learned it from her own grandmother. It was an old human trick. Press the right spots on the neck, the blood stops moving to the brain for a few seconds. The body falls asleep. Rincon tried to break the hold. He could not. His muscles would not work. The world went gray. Then black. He fell. The clock showed 68 minutes. Alora stood up slowly. She let out a long, slow breath. Her shoulders dropped a little. That was the first sign of effort she had shown all match. She turned to face the last cadet. Silith was still on her knees in the corner of the arena. The Lumini was holding her head. Blood was still coming from her nose. Her silver eyes looked far away. She was trying to put her mind back. Together, she had spent the last 40 minutes inside Alora's head. Lumini were trained to read minds. They knew how to handle most species. They could touch a Cathari mind and feel calm and pride. They could touch a Drakari mind and feel anger and hunger. They could touch a Veshk mind and feel pack and hunt. Alora's mind had been a storm. Silith had tried to find one main feeling to grab. There was none. Or there were too many. The human held everything in her mind at once. Joy and pain and worry and love. And humor and grief all running at the same time, all loud, all real. Silith had never felt anything like it. Lumini minds were calm, quiet. They had clear pools of feeling. Human minds were oceans during a storm. Worse, Silith had touched Alora's deepest fear. She had thought it would break the human. Instead, she had learned that fear was Alora's old friend. Alora had grown up with that fear. The human had used the fear to know the world. She had walked with it for 18 years. Silith had pushed fear into a person who was made of fear and had survived it. The Lumini looked up at Alora. She raised one shaking hand. I yield. Silith said. Her voice was small. I yield. Please, I yield. Alora nodded. She did not come closer. She just stood there and gave the Lumini room. The match referee stepped onto the floor. He raised his huge crystal hand. The match is over, he said. His voice carried across the arena. The winner is Cadet Alora Voss. There was no sound. The cadets in the seats did not cheer. They did not boo. They just sat in shock. The teachers in the booth were quiet, too. They looked at one another. No one spoke first. Then slowly one cadet started to clap. It was a small Tassari, a member of one of the weaker coalition species. Then a few more joined. Then a whole row. Then the whole arena. The clapping got louder. It became a roar. Cadets from the smaller species were on their feet. They were cheering for the human. They were cheering as if they had just watched a miracle. Maybe they had. Down in the arena, Alora stood quietly. Her training suit was torn in a few places. There was blood on her elbow from Vorth's crystal. There was a small cut above her eye from when Shezek had crashed past her. Her braid was loose and falling apart. She did not smile. She did not raise her hand in victory. She walked over to where Vorth lay on the ground. The medical team was already there with stretchers. They were lifting him onto one. Alora knelt down next to his head. You fought well, she said softly. I am sorry for your arm. Vorth could not speak. The pain was too much, but his eyes met hers. He gave her a small nod. Then she walked to Shezek. She did the same thing. The Drakari could not move his jaw. He could not speak. But he blinked at her once. It was a sign of respect. She walked to Renka. He was just waking up. His 3 eyes blinked slowly. You ran. Well, Alora told him. You almost lost me twice. Renka closed all 3 eyes for a moment, then he opened them and gave her a tired smile. Last she went to Silith. The Lumini flinched a little when Alora came near. I did not mean to hurt your mind, Alora said. I am sorry I did not know what would happen. Silith looked up at her. Then slowly she shook her head. You did nothing wrong, the Lumini said. I tried to read you. I was not ready for what you are. Above them in the booth, Dr. Yishin stood up. Her tablet glowed in her hand. The reclassification was now official. She turned to her team. Tell the council I want to see them in 1 hour, she said. And someone please make sure Cadet Voss gets a hot meal. She is going to need it, and so are we. The med bay was full that night. 3 of the 4 Apex Cadets lay in healing tanks. Vorth's arm was being slowly fixed by crystal knit machines. Sizix's jaw was wired shut. New teeth were growing in slowly. His tail was set in a healing brace. Silith rested in a quiet dark room. Her mind needed time to heal more than her body did. Renka was the only one awake. He sat on a med bed drinking warm water. His legs still hurt, his pride hurt more, but his 3 eyes were thoughtful. He kept looking at the door, as if waiting for someone. The door slid open. Alora walked in. She had cleaned up, her face was washed. Her braid was redone. She wore a fresh training suit. She had a bandage above her eye. She walked to each healing tank. She placed her hand on the glass of Vorth's tank. She did the same for Sizix. She stood quietly outside Silith's door. She did not go in. She did not want to wake the Lumini. Then she went to Renka. How are your legs? She asked. They will be fine in 2 days, Renka said. The doctor says I am lucky. She says you could have done much worse. I did not want to, Alara said. Renka looked at her for a long time. His 3 eyes studied her face. Why did you sign up for the match? He asked. You knew we made the wager. You heard us at dinner. Did you sign up to teach us a lesson? Alara thought about it. Then she shook her head. No, she said. I signed up because I was tired of being treated like glass. The teachers were nice. Too nice. They thought I would break. You 4 thought I would break too. I wanted to show them I am not glass. None of us from New Anvil are. We are something else. What are you? Renka asked. Alara was quiet for a moment. We are people who survived, she said simply. That is all. Our world tried to kill us every day. We did not die. After a while, that changes a person. It changes a whole colony. It changes what normal means. Renka nodded slowly. I would like to be your friend, Cadet Voss. Alara smiled. It was a real smile this time, warm, not the cold one from her bunk 3 days ago. I would like that too, Renka. Veshk pack leader put one of his 3-fingered hands on her shoulder. To his species, this was a sign of pack. It meant family. It was the highest honor a Veshk could give. The next morning, Alara was called before the Academy Council. The room was big and round. The walls were stone. A long curved table held 7 members. The headmaster sat at the center. He was an old Cathar named Vorshantel. His crystal body was dark blue, almost black. His eyes were like deep wells. Alara stood in front of them. She kept her hands behind her back. She kept her chin up. She had been raised to face hard things. Without flinching, the headmaster spoke. First, Cadet Voss, you took down 4 Apex Cadets in a single match. 3 are in healing tanks. 1 is in psionic recovery. The match lasted over an hour. Tell us, did you mean to harm your fellow students? Alara took a deep breath. No, sir, I did not mean to harm them. I meant to win the match. The harm came from the gap between what they thought I was and what I am. There was a long silence. The 7 council members looked at one another. Some looked worried, some looked thoughtful. The headmaster was very still. Then he spoke again. Cadet Voss, the coalition has for 2,000 years used a list of apex species. We have built our combat doctrine around that list. We have trained our cadets based on that list. We have even built our laws around it. He paused. We were wrong. Our list was missing names. Our doctrine had a hole. Our laws will need to change. This council notes for the record that we are correcting a very old mistake today. Alara nodded. You are not in trouble, Cadet, the headmaster said. You will return to your training. But your training will change. You will not be on light duty anymore. You will train at full apex level. You will help us understand what humans can do. And you will help your squad. They have much to learn from you. Yes, sir, Alara said. Dismissed. She turned to leave. As she reached the door, the headmaster spoke once more. Cadet Voss, she turned. Welcome to the academy, truly. This time, she gave him a small bow and left. In the weeks that followed, things changed. Vorth came out of the healing tank. First, his arm was new. He came to find Alara on the training field. Teach me how you moved, he said. I have been strong all my life. I have never had to learn to fight. Not really. You moved like water. Teach me, Alara agreed. She started training Vorth in the morning before classes. The huge Cathari was a slow learner of new moves, but he was patient. And once he learned a thing, he never forgot it. Sezek came out of the tank. Next, his jaw was healed. His teeth were new. The first thing he did was find Alara. He used a writing tablet because his jaw was still stiff. Rematch, he wrote. When I heal fully. No hard feelings. Just want to learn, Alara grinned. Anytime, lizard, Sezek laughed. It was a strange sound through his still healing throat. But it was a laugh. Rinka and Alara became close friends. The Veshk had marked her as part of his pack. His brothers and sisters back home heard the story and sent her gifts. They sent dried meat. They sent a small Veshk hunting knife. They sent a piece of cloth from their pack leader's mother to the Veshk. This was the same as adopting her into the family. Silith was the slowest to recover. Her mind had been hurt deeply. But when she came back to class, she was different. She did not act proud anymore. She had seen something inside Alara that had changed how she saw the universe. Silithi asked to spend time with Alara. She wanted to study human minds. She had questions. Many questions. Alara answered them as best she could. Silithi started taking notes. Many notes, then she started writing papers, then a book. Years later, Silith would become the coalition's top expert on human minds. The whole field of human mind study would not exist without her, and it would not exist without that one. Match in the arena. 6 months after the match, the academy looked very different. There were now 14 human cadets enrolled. The Deathworld integration program had been renamed. It was now called the Apex Exchange Program. A new combat course was added to the senior cadet schedule. It was a mandatory class. Its name was Times Asymmetric Baselines. When the small thing is the predator. Alara was now a squad leader. She had her own group of new cadets. They were a mix of humans and aliens. On their first day, she stood in front of them. The training field was bright. The 3 moons of Velkar Prime were just rising. On the edge of the day sky, she looked at the human cadets. They looked nervous, small, out of place. She had been there once. She smiled at them. They are going to underestimate you, she said. Let them. It is the kindest thing you can do for them. Let them learn cheap. Because the universe does not grade on a curve. It does not care what species you are. It only asks one question. She paused. Her gray eyes were calm and clear. Are you still standing? That is all that matters. Are you still standing? Then she turned to the alien cadets. They came from many worlds. Some big, some small. Some strong, some quick, and to all of you she said, do not be afraid of what you saw in the news. Do not fear humans. We are not your enemy. We are your squad. We are your friends. We will stand with you. She held out her hands. On New Anvil we have a saying. The cornfields can kill you. The marsh can kill you. The storms can kill you. But your neighbors, they will help you. Stand. Always. She looked at all of them. You are my neighbors now. The cadets did not speak. They just looked at her. Some of them, both humans and aliens, had wet eyes. Far away across the galaxy, the coalition species threat database updated again. Across 1,000 military bases, in 10,000 academy libraries, on 1 million private screens, a single line of text changed. Old coalition officers read it and put down their drinks. Young cadets read it and felt their hearts beat faster. Generals read it and called their staff into long meetings. The line said, Human Class I Apex, approach with respect. And on Velkar Prime, on a sunny morning under 3 moons, a small woman from a heavy gravity colony stood with her squad. She watched her cadets begin their first run. She walked beside them at her steady pace. Step, 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 step. She would walk with them as long as it took. Because that was what humans did. They did not stop. They did not stop. They never stopped.